Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Perfect!
He looked good, was good. To me, he was Mr. Perfect.
There's one Mr. Perfect, and you're looking at him.
He was an AWA heavyweight champion. He was an AWA tag team champion.
The greatest intercontinental champion of all time. The greatest athlete of all time.
Swim, he could dive, he could play golf, he could bowl, he could throw darts. Yeah, you name it. He was a natural athlete.
He was arrogant. He believed in everything he did.
And now you know why they call me Mr. Perfect.
Mr. Perfect walks in no man's shadow. I can tell you that. He is his own man.
He wanted to be the best, but he wanted to be the best so that he could take care of his family.
We had a great beginning and we had a great middle. By losing Kurt wasn't really a great ending.
He was the greatest person that anybody could have ever known.
One of the most entertaining people ever to step into the ring.
He was the greatest total package that there was in professional wrestling.
He's a funny guy. He brought a lot of smiles.
He was devoted. He lived and breathed professional wrestling.
What you're looking at right here is by far the greatest athlete the World Wrestling Federation has ever produced.
I remember the day he was born. That was the highlight of my life. One of my highlights of my life. We have 5 children. They're all special in their own ways, and Kurt was special in his way. Always smiling. Kurt started wrestling. Him and my oldest boy, Randy, his brother, started wrestling when they were 6 years old. He started at the bottom. He started as a 6-year-old and worked his way up. He was just a natural athlete. Robbinsdale High School had more state champions than any school in Minnesota. I went there. I wrestled professionally. Here I come that Vern Gagne started me wrestling.
Vern Gagne went to Robbinsdale High School. My father, before Larry, probably 10 years apart. Vern Gagne had been on TV in 1952 on the DuPont Network out of Chicago. So he was one of the first stars to really be on network TV. Larry came to my father and wanted to turn pro. So my father trained Larry. You know, when Larry would come for training sessions, he'd bring Kurt along. And I mean, those are my first memories of him. I just remember a curly-haired little guy and loved to wrestle around and play.
It was always a wrestling atmosphere in our house. Kurt went to Robbinsdale High School. They found a real gem when Kurt came there because he could wrestle. I don't care if it was bowling, golf, tennis, swimming, diving, didn't make any difference. A great athlete.
He was in my English class in 10th grade. We're in English, how you're supposed to go up and give a speech, and you're supposed to look around and make eye contact, and here he was making funny faces, and so I thought, what the heck is wrong with this guy? He reminded me of my brothers, how guys try to get girls' attention. Went from there to asking me out to the Night of the Living Dead. I think it's because he wanted me to hang on to him or something, so it all started in English class. They moved to Arizona when we were in 11th grade. And he came back a year later. We started dating, and then we got married, like about a year after that. We were married for a year and a half, and then he just started training with Brad Rangens, a real good friend of his.
If you want to talk about the genesis of Curt Hennig's wrestling career, I'd have to say it was as an amateur wrestler at Robbinsdale, Minnesota. And then he played football, Normandale Junior College, and after that, then it was professional wrestling.
Brad Rangens started to train Kurt, and then I jumped in and helped with a lot of the training. We became pretty close. You know, second-generation wrestlers catch on pretty quick, and Kurt was a natural.
He started out, he went to Vern Gagne's camp. There were no shortcuts, so he started at the bottom and worked his way up.
He started training for about a year, and they asked if he'd want to do a couple shows, and he asked if what I think about him going to this profession. I mean, it was what was in his heart that he liked. We had a little boy, and I knew this is what he liked to do, and I was backing him 100%. After he wrestled here for a while, Vince Sr. asked him to come out and wrestle out in New York.
He was on the card in Madison Square Garden.
Curt Hennig!
He got in the ring and looked all around, and he come back after the match and he said, "Dad," he said, "this is unbelievable. This is where I have to be." So that was a big deal. It was an opening match, but it was a big deal. He was on the card in Madison Square Garden.
Curt Hennig, young man from Minnesota. Boy, he's going to be a great one of these days.
Well, I first met Curt Hennig in Madison Square Garden. This is where he had his first match. I watched Curt, and I could see there was a lot of possibility in this young fella.
And Hennig's punches are starting to have an effect on Fuji.
Very athletic young guy.
There's a certain excitement here. The fans behind Curt Hennig like never before, and that can do an awful lot for a young competitor.
And you could just see the potential that was there, just waiting to come out.
Drop kick, Curt Hennig! What do we have here?
Well, Vince, for the last few months, Curt Hennig has been doing very well for himself. He's been really climbing the ladder.
We went around to Boston and a couple of the towns, and then I left and he stayed.
He enjoyed it up there. He was away from the AWA, where his father had established himself, and yet nobody knew him up there. So if he was getting the experience, it didn't really have any effect on back here.
He was on the road a lot. Being 7.5 months pregnant, I just stayed with my mom until New Year's Eve day. He came off the flight. They were done with their tour in New York. They said that your wife is in labor. So he made it with each child, all 4 children.
We have 4 kids. Joe was born in '79. Amy, she was born in '81, and Katie was born in '87, and Hank was born in '92.
Curt and Lenise were high school friends, high school lovers, married. They had a great romance and started a beautiful family.
It didn't really seem to me that he was away from me as much as he was. It always seemed like he was there at every sporting event I had, every football game, every baseball game. Around the house, he's laid back, you know, just relax time. You know, go outside, maybe play, you know, a little grab with the football, you know, whatever. Go out with my mom at night. But mostly it was just time to relax.
We were just proud of him no matter what. We were proud of each other.
He loved his kids, always talked about the kids, talked about his wife. Everything he did was for them. You know, that was Curt.
I still have visions of him leaving Minneapolis to go out to Oregon. He was going out to Don Owens to wrestle. When he wrestled out there, he said, "Dad, do you want to come out?" I said, "Yeah." Curt and I were the Pacific Coast Tag Team Champions, father and son. It was a great thrill.
Being around professional wrestling all my life for the last 25 years, and my father being in professional wrestling and at the top ranks, certainly being around him and the help he's given me has certainly been a big help to me.
Curt had a major impact in the AWA. He rejuvenated his father.
This father and son tag team combination seek to dethrone the tag team champions of the world.
Curt was a big part of making Larry feel like getting back out there and making sure that his son succeeded.
Larry the Axe Hennig could not stand in the corner and watch it happen to his son.
And the two of them together made sure that the team succeeded.
Hennig, what has he got going? Does he have a cover? On the roll, he couldn't hold him.
In wrestling itself, it's not too often that you get an opportunity to see a father and son wrestle together. Generally, the father's too old or the son's too young. They just happened to hit at a perfect point in time where Larry was still physically able to go out there and perform. And Curt was the highlight to that performance.
Kurt coming off that top rope with a flying drop kick. Now he has the animal covered.
Kurt was very proud of his father and what he accomplished, and I think that was what motivated him to carry on his father's name and be successful in an industry that his dad was successful in.
Oh, what a war is going on inside that squared circle.
I didn't have to do that much, but what I did was important. And he had a lot of tag team partners, and he had all the moves, whether it was on the mat or aerial or whatever. He was a wrestling genius, absolutely a wrestling genius.
Look at Hennig off the second rope, right across the arm of Terry Gordy.
When he broke in, we traveled together, and we did a lot of talking. He said, God, I mean, everywhere I go, it's, you know, Larry this, Larry that, your dad the axe. And they compare you, and I said, well, that's the toughest thing in this thing. I said, you know, I grew up with it too and lived through it. But what you have to do, you have to establish yourself. Just be who you are and forget about your dad and create your own destiny in the sport. And if you can do that, you'll be successful.
I had to dig down deep and pull out everything from my past, and finally I got to that tag, and I told all the people here we were excited. We came to win, and we did it!
They got him! Your winners, Greg Gagne, Curt Hennig, and Scott Hall!
Your true athletes are going to progress like Kurt did to a point where he was really a very good athlete.
The team of Curt Hennig and Scott Hall look like they are ready for the championship right now.
They were a good combination, two young guys, great shape. They both didn't do the same things, but what they did was really good, and they were a good combination.
Beautiful drop toe hold by Curt Hennig. Oh, Kurt's moving tonight.
Scott wasn't quite the professional that Kurt was. They developed and were champions. Among the wrestlers, we knew Kurt was carrying it because he was the better athlete in the ring.
Curt Hennig, 248 out of Robbinsdale, Minnesota. There is no two ways about it. That man right there is one of the most sensational wrestlers in the world today, and the heavyweight championship of the world may be at his doorstep.
I am ready for a shot at Nick Bockwinkel, and somewhere down the road, I'm sure, as I climb up the ladder, I'll be looking for Nick Bockwinkel.
All around the world, it's for the heavyweight championship of the world. There's the challenger, Curt Hennig. There's the champion, Nick Bockwinkel.
We're in Las Vegas, and Kurt has a match with Nick Bockwinkel that night. Kurt's 28 years old. Bockwinkel's near the end of his career, but he's still the world champion. Maybe 48, maybe 50 at the time. In the building with all the lights, it was about 114 to 120 degrees. And we're in the locker room, and I said, now, Kurt, remember to pace yourself. Nick will dictate the match if you let him. And if he does, you're not going to make it. Watch what I'm going to do to that Nick Bockwinkel tonight.
Picks up Curt Hennig, body slam, kick out by Hennig. We are seeing it all. Body slam by Hennig on the champion. Arm drag takedown. Curt Hennig. Again the arm drag. And an arm bar here on the champion.
It was a great match, a great match.
The tenacity of two tremendous grapplers here in the AWA for the championship of the world.
Good sound wrestling match, good holds, great technicians. Even today, if you watch that match, you can see how great Kurt was, and Nick, a great wrestler too.
I will never forget it as long as I live. However this ends, these two men have given everything that there is to give. Not only that they have to give, but there is to give to the sport of professional wrestling. The count is going down to one. It is all over. It is all over.
60 minutes later, blood running down him. And when he came in, he sat down and he was bent over and I said, did you learn anything? Yes. And I think that's when the light went on for him. He became a different guy in the ring.
Tremendous, over he goes.
Oh! Fabulous drop kick by Curt Hennig and a big power slam into the mat.
I'm standing here now, Nick Bockwinkel, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe I'm the one that should retire from professional wrestling. Maybe you should be the one to continue on as world champion, because you happen to find out every time a way to hold on to that belt. Well, Nick Bockwinkel, it's 1987, and I told you there's going to be a changing of the guards. So, Nick Bockwinkel, wherever it may be, you keep your eyes open, because Curt Hennig's coming.
He became a star. That match made him a star by getting his butt beat that night. And from that time on, I saw a totally different Curt Hennig. He became a star in this sport.
Bockwinkel had had the title for quite some time. They had moved everyone up the ladder. When Curt's turn came along, he fit into it brilliantly, because when Curt came to life in wrestling, he fit right in that mold.
Hennig comes up and hammers away. Count of 1, 2, 3.
I cannot buy that, Rod.
It was pure pride and bittersweet that he had made that level, that altitude, and I was happy, and I'm still happy today. Well, it was unbelievable. It was something that I never accomplished. Never a world champion. It was overwhelming, and it's hard for me to put it into words. I was overwhelmed, and I was very proud, and I'm still proud today.
Curt Hennig, as far as I'm concerned, he was the right man at the right time, right place. Definitely. I liked him tremendously. He was the person, so to speak, ready to inherit the throne. And he was the right person.
That was a goal of his, was to win that title someday. Eventually he did. He had some help with it from Larry Zbyszko, but he did win it. And once he got that belt, he turned into a whole different performer in the ring.
I've started from the bottom and I've worked my way to the top. And I'm the proudest man in professional wrestling right now. And there's nobody sitting out there, and there's nobody anywhere in the world that can take that away from me, because I've got it and it's mine. And I'm talking about the heavyweight championship of the world.
All that confidence that you gain and all that momentum you gain changes your whole attitude about the sport and your performance in the ring. And he was outstanding.
He is the AWA heavyweight champion, Curt Hennig. Let me tell you something about your father. Your father, when he was a champion, was nothing but a phony. And I'm a real man.
It ended up we'd have to collide in matches, and then it became very competitive.
Let me tell you straight and simple, Greg Gagne, I'm the greatest thing walking the face of the earth right now. And there's not a wrestler around that can touch me.
And the fathers had to be involved. They just didn't like each other.
We just didn't get along, period. So it was an attitude, it was a personality, it didn't work, period.
It was difficult for both Curt and I. And we're just trying to go out, compete, and have a good match. And we had some hellacious matches. It was fun. We had some great matches. We just wanted to be ourselves. And, you know, following in your father's footsteps was a real challenge. You have to put that aside and kind of just blank it out in your mind and focus on what you need to do in the ring. And he did an excellent job doing that.
The championship match will be Curt Hennig defending his title against the King, Jerry Lawler.
In May of 1988, we had at the Mid-South Coliseum, we had 12,000 people, turn-away crowd at the Coliseum. Curt was in all his glory and his last match as the AWA champion, and man, what a match we had. It was not only my favorite match with Curt Hennig, it's my favorite match of all time.
Curt Hennig is one heck of a champion.
I mean, he was as good as they get. It was a pleasure. I mean, literally a pleasure, if he wasn't just beating the total hell out of you. It was a pleasure to be in the ring with Curt Hennig.
When things started turning and the business started changing, he got his shot with the WWE, his second shot, and it was a lot different than his first time. He went there now. He's going to be a star, and he became one.
When it came time for him to make a move, We all got in a car, and I drove him to New York. And we went over to Vince's house.
Vince was like, hey, you know, think of a name. We're like, okay, it's supposed to match our last name, you know, with the H's, you know, like Hurricane Hennig or Heroic or whatever, and King Curtis, or, you know, we were thinking of all that. And then Vince asked him, so what do you like to do?
And Kurt was describing himself, and Kurt talked about how he loved to hunt, he loved to fish, he loved to play basketball, he loved to golf, he just loved everything. And I said, well, what do you know, what's like your best sport? What are you best at? He said, well, great at everything. And hence, Mr. Perfect was born.
Hi, I'm Curt Hennig, but to you people, I'm Mr. Perfect. A man who has done everything in his life absolutely perfect, without a flaw, without a blemish. In fact, when I was born, the doctor handed me to my mother, and the very first word out of her mouth was, perfect. What else?
When you call yourself Mr. Perfect, you're pigeonholing yourself into a pretty tough act to follow. But you know something? The sumbitch was pretty damn close to being perfect in every way.
I am gonna sink a 40-foot putt, bowl the perfect game, perfect form on the basketball court.
I am the perfect passer.
By the way, that's checkmate. Perfect, every time.
That was perfect.
What did you expect?
Bobby Heenan had got in touch with me about coming over to the USF baseball field to do a little skit with Kurt. He was gonna take some batting practice. I said, oh, okay. I hear he's a pretty good athlete, and I'd like to see him swing a bat. So he's taking some batting practice and looks a little stiff in the beginning and everything. And they said, okay, start the tape, and they roll the tape, and winds up hitting a home run. And then they cut to me, and I go, absolutely perfect. It was a good gig, but I'm sitting there going, you know, they're gonna have to dub it to where he hits a ball, and then they throw the ball over the fence. And I said, nah, he's not gonna be able to hit a home run. And winds up hitting a home run.
I don't believe it.
There wasn't anything that he couldn't do. We'd be playing basketball or something, so for instance, out in the front. We'd be making these trick shots, and he would drain them from half court, and, you know, playing darts, he'd be like, oh, let's just close my eyes and make it. Bullseye.
He wanted to be great at every single thing he did and had a natural ability to do every sport.
There's nothing closer to the truth with Kurt. On a few of the off days, Kurt and I and Rick Martel at that time, you know, we would fool around, you know, in the gym with the basketball or out on the field with the football, and everything you said, it was right on.
He had that about him. I can remember times in the AWA when we would be driving back from Green Bay or some town in Wisconsin. We'd pull over in one of those roadside taverns, and he'd walk in there and start playing darts and just doom, 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 hit the bullseye. I mean, and he was doing that long before he was Mr. Perfect.
Okay, first of all, the myth of Mr. Perfect doing everything perfectly is, well, that's a myth. In part, Mr. Perfect being perfect is a myth, because when we would set up shots and we would go through all of the Mr. Perfect vignettes, Kurt could do everything, and he could do it the first time, and he did it perfectly. As soon as cameras would roll, Kurt couldn't sink a putt or hit a strike if his life depended on it.
That doctor handed me to my mother, and I'm stuttering. Perfect. Perfect. You got any pointers? Absolutely perfect. Forgot what I was gonna say. You think I get lucky at least?
And the secret is after a while, what I started having to do is I would never let Kurt know when we were rolling. And as soon as we would get there, we'd put tape in the camera and we would roll on everything. And whether Kurt thought we were rehearsing or just walking through things, we shot everything that Kurt did. And I told Kurt, I'll just be Mr. Perfect from the minute you walk in. And that is how Kurt became perfect.
I directed the first couple of incarnations of the Mr. Perfect vignettes. Kurt wasn't always so perfect on the shoots for the Mr. Perfect vignettes, but he was reasonably close. He was good at all the things that we shot, good enough to convince people that he was perfect, with a little bit of help from the rest of us. But for how good he was at all these things, he was also pretty humble. After the first couple of series of vignettes, he showed up at the studio one day with a box full of these trophies. He called them his Golden Mike Awards, and mine says special thanks to Kerwin Silfies for helping direct Perfection, Mr. Perfect. Now, of course, Kurt would never give me credit for directing Perfection. It was just helping direct Perfection. He was absolutely perfect.
No matter what Kurt did, he done it well. Kurt loved to hunt and fish. And when they were 3-4 years old, I'd take them hunting, take them in the car, we'd go pheasant hunting or something. In later life, along with Wade Boggs and fishing shark and hunted elk.
The first time I met Kurt Hennig was at a banquet dinner in Rochester, New York. We started talking and finding out we had similar interests in hunting and fishing and these types of things, and got to know him a little bit, and about a year later just became great friends. We would go down to the Keys and fish in the Keys, and then invited him to go to British Columbia on a moose hunt, and he enjoyed that immensely. We were frickin' frack and peanut butter and jelly, and we were just inseparable, and we had so much fun together. He has to live up to his reputation, being Mr. Perfect, and he has to shoot naturally the biggest animal, catch the biggest fish, and he always brags about it. He caught about 180-pound tarpon down in the Keys one year with us, and at the end of the trip he said, I just want everybody to know that I caught the biggest fish of the trip, and one time he caught a gigantic bull shark down there, about 650 pounds, and I asked him, what are you going to do with that? He says, I'm going to mount it and put it on my wall. I said, I hope you got a big enough wall for it. And I talked to Lenise last year at the induction of the Hall of Fame, and the bull shark's still up. I consider Kurt my guardian angel, because we were in Iowa deer hunting, and we were making drives, and one of the ranchers had asked us if it's gonna be tough. If we wanted to hunt together or hunt separate. And I said, it's up to you, Kurt. I said, whatever you decide. He said, Bogsy, let's hunt together. So we took off walking, and we walked about a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, and came to this barbed wire fence, and there was a little tree on the other side of the barbed wire fence, and I handed Kurt my gun and tried to step over the barbed wire fence and got entangled in it. And I was upside down, and I couldn't get out, and didn't know what happened because it happened so fast. And I feel something running down my leg, and I'm upside down with my feet up in the air, and Kurt's struggling to get the barbed wire loose, and finally he does, and my legs come out, and I told him I thought I broke my collarbone and there's something wrong with my leg, and pulled up my pants, and I'm wide open from my knee all the way down to my ankle, and I said, dude, it's a long way back to the truck. He said, don't worry, I'll carry you. Carried me about 3/4 of a mile, and it gets me to the hospital, and the doctor said, it's a good thing he was there. He said, you bled to death sitting on that fence, because nobody would have found me, and if he wasn't there, I wouldn't be here. Just tough.
Mr. Perfect. Well, finally, we're going to find out just how perfect this man is in the squared circle.
By the time that Mr. Perfect debuted in the WWE, his persona had already been established. Now, the other side of that issue is this, is that you do a great series of vignettes and then you make your debut and you're not nearly as good as the vignettes. It's really a feast or famine deal. But fortunately for Kurt, when the bell rang, he got the job done.
One of the ironic things about Kurt was that the thing that he was closest to being perfect at was wrestling. He was good at basketball, he was good at football, he was good at pool, he was even good at throwing darts. But the thing he did best was wrestle.
A perfect move by Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect.
He can do it all, and he does it perfectly.
He's got perfect confidence. He's got perfect control.
Every hold, a perfect hold. Every match, a perfect match.
You take a good look, because I am perfect in every way.
Mr. Perfect was absolutely unbelievable in the ring.
He's perfect.
Kurt was a great athlete.
What an athlete this man is.
Absolute natural in the ring.
He doesn't have to work at it. It just comes natural. He's perfect.
In the ring was where he was at home.
Mr. Perfect displaying, thus far, perfectly executed maneuvers.
He had an arsenal that was second to none.
Leapfrogged him, perfect.
He had those drop kicks.
Perfect kick.
He had the suplex.
Now I'm going to show you a perfect flex.
The perfect flex from the perfect man, Mr. Perfect.
Now that's absolutely perfect.
Mr. Perfect fit that kid's personality from day one when I met him when he was a kid. He was always a cocky, outgoing person.
You want to be in the same ring with me, you better look who is Mr. Perfect.
Everything that Curt Hennig did in the ring was crisp and sharp, that you got the feeling that at any time he could, if he wanted to, if he wasn't so cocky, pin his opponent.
That's someone you want to say hello to, boy? Take a good look, boy.
He's just playing with this youngster. He could have put him away 15 seconds after the bell rang to start the match.
You're going to tell the world who Mr. Perfect is, boy. You understand me? You understand who Mr. Perfect is? You take a look right there. You tell him who Perfect is, boy.
When you look at Mr. Perfect, what you see is what you get. And what you're getting is absolutely perfect.
He always wanted to be perfect, the way he would spit out his gum and hit it with his hand.
Perfect gum.
You would never see him do that and miss. Otherwise, it wouldn't be perfect.
It's easy to have that confidence when you have all that ability.
Curt Hennig was one of the most athletic individuals ever to step in the squared circle. He had all the tools of the trade. He could wrestle, was a great amateur. He could move, he could bounce, he could punch, he could shuck and jive. Everything he did brought excitement to the ring, to the match.
Mr. Perfect with a perfect double reverse chin lock here.
That is a perfectly legal hold.
I love Curt Hennig. He had talent, he laughed. Mr. Perfect was a tremendous athlete.
Mr. Perfect had a knack of making the person that he was in the ring with look 100 times better than they've ever looked before, simply because of the way that Mr. Perfect carried himself in matches.
Perfect is just perfect.
He could go out there and literally, with a stack of bricks, entertain everybody in the arena. He was just that good. Kurt could have a match with himself, and you would never get bored.
Perfect timing by Mr. Perfect.
That's just natural talent. You can't teach people that. You can't buy that. You can't train to have that. It's just something you're born with, and he was born with that.
When he went through the curtain, everybody, and I mean everybody, had the best match they ever had with Curt Hennig.
That's perfect.
Get off the apron. Santana with kicks to the midsection. Perfect again. Wait a minute. No. I can't believe this.
The winner of this bout and new Intercontinental Champion, Mr.
When he won the Intercontinental belt, that was awesome. You get to bring the belt home and get to wear it around.
Anytime that you can win a title, you're happy because you know that he's on the right track and the people that he's working for appreciate what he's doing also. That was a big thing.
I'm sharper than I've ever been. I'm like a double-bladed axe, and I'm zigging and I'm zagging my way through the World Wrestling Federation.
He was a notch above everybody else, and his title reign was a notch above a lot of the other champions.
Kurt made that Intercontinental title damn near as important as the WWE title, just because of the performance and that the standard he set as the Intercontinental Champion.
I think at one point in the WWE, it was particularly known that the Intercontinental Champion may have been the best wrestler in the company. The WWE Champion may have been the guy that sold the most tickets or sold the most merchandise. But there was a long period of time in World Wrestling Entertainment where the Intercontinental Champion was generally considered by his peers and by real knowledgeable fans as being as skilled, if not more, than anybody on the roster. And I always felt that Kurt fit that Intercontinental mode very, very perfectly, no pun intended.
What you're looking at is what champions are made of. Intercontinental Champion, Mr. Perfect.
Sometimes the title does not make the wrestler makes the title. And in this case, that's exactly what it was. Curt Hennig made the Intercontinental Championship mean more than it did before he achieved it. Kurt just exuded this attitude, this self-confidence that nothing could stop him. And whether you liked him or you disliked him, you could not ignore that he was a star.
I'm the champion, Intercontinental Champion. I have all the tools it takes to be a champion. I have Bobby the Brain Heenan in my corner. I have the right body. I have the right looks. I have the ability. I am what I say I am.
Kurt was a great Intercontinental Champion.
Greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Mr. Perfect's reign as Intercontinental Champion was probably one of the most successful reigns of all time. I mean, you're dealing with an athlete, a big athlete who could move, who could wrestle, who could do anything you could do, only do it quicker and better.
Give me some competition! Being absolutely perfect does have its problems, because when you're a perfect Intercontinental Champion, challengers are few and far between.
I think Curt Hennig's probably one of his best performances was probably with Bret Hart. I give a lot of credit to Bret Hart as well. Kurt and Bret brought the best out in each other.
I don't know of two individuals that are more evenly matched than these two guys.
Yes, physically, mentally, and I would imagine experience-wise also.
Both second-generation wrestlers.
Two great athletes.
Both men have execution in excelsis. They are perfect, of course, in all the moves they do.
His matches with Bret Hart were absolutely pieces of art.
What a series of just breathtaking moves.
I'd wrestled Curt Hennig for so many matches, and probably had his best matches and our best matches of that period that anybody was having anywhere.
The fans loving every minute of this one.
Bret Hart had a great head for wrestling.
He certainly is a magnificent machine in there.
Curt Hennig had a great head for wrestling.
Mr. Perfect continuing the very methodical destruction of the Hitman.
And when you put two great heads together, for anything, it's going to come out well.
Excellence of execution.
Oh, they both have it.
I know that people loved the match that I had with Curt Hennig at SummerSlam.
History will be made tonight. Excellence of execution versus perfection.
To me, that was one of the best matches in history.
What a classic confrontation between these two superstars here in the World Wrestling Federation.
It was a milestone match, especially for guys like me, because I was growing up watching that and seeing a different style now, a style that I gravitated to, a style that I thought, yeah, this is the kind of style I want to do if and when I get into this business.
Look at this. Every eye in Madison Square Garden here is trained right in this ring.
He'd hurt his back, and a lot of people don't know that he
He really hurt his back going into the SummerSlam that year, and he was in such pain, but he wanted to be there for me out of respect.
What a matchup! What a tribute to the athletes here in the World Wrestling Federation to have two guys of this caliber doing what they're doing here in Madison Square Garden.
It was a clinic. It really was. It was a hard-hitting, action-packed, fast-paced, but also told a story. And at that point in WWE, that wasn't seen a lot. And it really stood out. It stood out for me a lot.
Oh, he's got that hole half applied on the canvas. He's turning him over. Beautiful counter. The sharpshooter. He's got it. He's got it. We've got a new champion.
He never really talked about the match. He would just talk about working with Bret.
He loved his matches with me as I did with him.
They just had amazing chemistry. Sometimes you get in with a guy and as soon as you lock up, you know there's magic there that can be made. And those two had it.
He just talked about how great it was being able to work with Bret, how great their matches ended up turning out.
Many people speak of Kurt's predilection for practical jokes. Did he learn that from you?
From his mother? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, probably from me. That are part of it. He just took it to another level. He had more people he could do it to.
He was always the one that would put shaving cream in the phone and call the room. The guys would pick up the phone and they have shaving cream in their ear. And
Kurt would put hot mustard and lighter fluid. You get a little drip of it on your finger and you'll swear to God your finger's gonna burn off. Now imagine that, having that put in the crotch of your shorts.
he'd always put the little hole at the top of the beer can or something, and guys would pick up their beer and pour it all over themselves. And
the Road Warriors, Mike Hegstrand, Joe Laurinaitis, Animal, and Joe was throwing a Christmas party for some of the boys up at his house. He had a very young son by the name of Jimmy that was about, I'd say 2 or 2.5 years old. And he had a little potty that they used for training him, and that was in the upstairs bathroom. Well, Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, shuffled up to the bathroom and couldn't help but notice this little trinket in the corner. So he made a deposit in there, shut the lid down, and walked downstairs. And when the Animal, Joe Laurinaitis, went up there, he yelled down to his wife, "My God, look what this kid has done at 2 years old."
He did a lot of things that sometimes were funny and maybe sometimes weren't too funny. But he always did them with the idea that it was funny.
There weren't many things that Kurt wouldn't do to get a laugh or a practical joke. I mean, an easy practical joke would be if maybe your shirt or your pants were tied in an unbelievable knot that it would be almost impossible to get them untied, the legs or whatever. But Kurt might just go so far as to just cut one of the legs off your pants or something like that,
If he walked into the dressing room, saw the mood in the dressing room, was tired, worn out, he would find a way to perk things up. And boy, did he ever.
He'd pour the baby powder into the blow dryer, and the guy'd turn on the blow dryer to blow dry his hair, and it'd blow up, and they'd have baby powder all over. They'd have to take another shower.
He always carried this stuff around that was called Morning Breeze. It was in a little squirt bottle, and it just stunk. It was horrible. He'd carry this stuff around, and I'll never forget, we were in a battle royal one time. Well, he was going around with this squirt bottle and shoot it like this, and it'd hit the guy's trunks. Well, they didn't know. Pretty soon this whole ring just stunk. And everybody just kind of started moving away from each other and, looking around. And pretty soon I think somebody finally yelled out, and I can't remember who it was, but they yelled out and said, "Who
Waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning hunting, he'd drag me out to the car and I'd fall asleep in the car. He'd chop me in the chest, "Wake up," or farting in the car, locking the window door so I couldn't breathe,
We're in Winnipeg, and it's 35 below zero. And there was a young guy here just starting wrestling, Rick Renslow. And somehow Steve Keirn and Kurt, they had got a big turd and put it on the windowsill till it froze. And then at the arena, they brought it along and they put it in Rick's bag. Drives all the way home, 500 miles back to Minneapolis, just so it throws his bag down in the laundry room, and his poor wife was the one of the brunt of the joke. She comes down and starts going to pull out his clothes to wash them, and out comes this nice soft turd now that just really reeked.
He was famous for finding padlocks in locker rooms and of course, putting them on the handles of people's suitcases and that sort of thing. Just absolutely anything that he could think of that was, and the more out there, the better.
I'm driving down the road, you know, no problem. Let me stop it. Oh, hamburger place, get a quick burger. So I'm eating a hamburger and I'm going, oh my God, I feel something. So I go, what is it? I pull a dead mouse out of my pocket and I'm going, I'm so sick. I open the window, throw the mouse out. I don't like to touch dead mice.
You knew it was Kurt, but he would swear up and down it wasn't him, and at the end of the day, you would be doubting yourself.
That was the passion that he had, was to make people laugh. He wanted to light up a room.
Kurt got dealt a bad hand with a back injury.
I remember him having back problems. You know, he had to just rest it, and I often go to the chiropractor and seeing doctors about it.
He was recovering from an injury. Then he was asked to do some commentating.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Vince McMahon, and joining me this week is a guy who is always just standing so tall, he has his head in the clouds, Mr. Perfect.
There again, he's like, oh, now I get to say what I want to say?
Look at the jaw on that guy. There's somebody who can take it on the chin, McMahon. Oh, you're a riot this week.
He was humorous. He was insightful. He knew the storyline of the match. He knew the psychology of the match. And that makes a great commentator.
Forget about it. He's under there somewhere. With Mr. Perfect present at In Your House, I suspect it'll be nothing less than perfect.
He was great. He was hilarious to listen to.
He just tried to get a little bit under the armpit. If some went in his eyes, it's not Martel's fault.
He just had such a natural wit. He could see little bits of humor, or he could have the right insight at the right time in matches, and I really enjoyed listening to Kurt as a color commentator.
I'm Mr. Perfect with another perfect prediction. And if that does happen and he splashes them and puts the big earthquake on him, it's gonna pop him like a hot air balloon.
Always fresh, but when it came down to it, he could give you a slant of been there, done that.
Sort of reminded me of a page out of the Mr. Perfect book.
Yeah, well, almost.
He was able to transfer those abilities from a physical participant into a verbalizer.
Never before in World Wrestling Federation history has an Intercontinental Champion been able to go out and defend his title twice in one day. Unless that Intercontinental Champion was me, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the greatest athlete of all time.
He talked about people and their abilities, but he was always shrewd enough to, right at the end of it, he'd say, but they're not quite Mr. Perfect.
Well, look at the guy, McMahon. He's as close as you can get to perfect without being perfect.
He made those guys look as good as he could make them look, but he'd always slide that little thing in.
This really amazes me. Being Mr. Perfect, a man who knows all the moves. This takes a lot of talent. This is a phenomenal athlete.
Mr. Perfect would see things in a completely different light than Vince McMahon at the time, and he was very quick with either a compliment or very quick to cut you to the bone.
Does the word dork mean anything to you, McMahon? Nerd? Dork? Do them words mean anything to you?
Should they?
I mean, come on, look at the hairdo, McMahon.
There's nothing wrong with Sarge's hairdo.
I'm talking about yours.
Oh, mine?
You don't actually leave the house in the morning with your hair like that thinking that's cool, do you?
He had a lot of people to, work off of, too.
He and I worked together a great deal.
The one and only Mr. Perfect. I guess that makes this the perfect Survivor Series.
He always had the inside skinny on all the stuff that was going on, and he was a great storyteller.
Well, certainly, I know all the rumors, I know all the scoops, McMahon.
They had fun just joking around, and you could see on the TV how much fun they were having.
You know, it's true that every mother thinks that their child is perfect. At least my mom was right. So right now, I'd like to wish a happy Mother's Day to the only perfect, well, almost perfect mother in the world, mine.
They knew that he was all full of fun and jokes, and that was his style.
Matt and Jeff Hardy. Mutt and Jeff. No, Matt. Matt, not Mutt.
If he could use that in his entertainment, you know, and entertaining people, he was all for it.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Vince McMahon, and if things seem to be a little irregular this week, that's only because my broadcast partner, Mr. Perfect, had to go to the ring, that is, to be in Ric Flair's corner.
What impressed me most about Kurt was his personality. You know, he was just on all the time. He had a lot of energy, good guy, fun to be with.
Ric Flair, along with his executive consultant.
I think they enjoyed each other. Kurt could get along with anybody, and so could Ric Flair, really. I never heard anybody say a bad word about Ric Flair.
You look at Mr. Perfect and the real world champion, you know that we style and we profile, we take in the race. Hey, for us, life's a picnic. We enjoy the very best that life has to offer every day of our lives.
Their personalities got along fine.
I can't say enough good about Kurt Hennig. Great guy and a great performer.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vince McMahon, along with Mr. Perfect and Jim Ross.
My favorite part of Kurt's commentary performance with Vince was when they would be doing it on camera, and when he made a point and was happy with himself, he would always smile, and then he would... Perfect.
Vince kind of took him under his wing and sat with him next to him there in the studio and kind of coached him along.
But there's one thing that I'm really happy about.
Vince was relentless with Kurt because Kurt was Mr. Perfect, so everything he said had to be perfect.
Well, I got to go with Vader. He's the biggest, the strongest, most athletic.
That's easy to say.
Sure.
You could tell in his voice that I need to get back out there.
Shows you rich guys get everything. Don't you just love it? Not everybody can be perfect. You got that right.
Oh, no! What? Mr. Perfect just leveled the world, man, with a chair and sable squad. What has happened here?
Kurt being paired with me at that time just really helped to legitimize what was the start of my career. I couldn't have asked for anything better than to get the endorsement of Mr. Perfect.
Helmsley was green at that time. I'm sure that he got a lot of experience from Kurt.
Kurt was just able to share with Triple H his journey and impart what Kurt had learned from his predecessors.
Mr. Perfect giving Helmsley some instruction here. No doubt that Helmsley and Perfect make an imposing combination.
We got Kurt back involved in being in the ring and being a little bit more active in the product and stuff, which was something that he wanted to do. But fortunately, the pairing didn't last very long. Kurt got the opportunity to go to WCW. I know Kurt was very torn about whether he should go or whether he should stay.
I think that Kurt's contract was up with Vince. I don't know exactly how it went. I don't think that he had anything bad about the WWE. It was just a matter of economics.
When I brought Kurt Hennig into WCW, it was a conscious decision to kind of create a different character for him than the one that he had had in WWE.
It's Kurt Hennig! Kurt Hennig, one of the all-time greats in our sport, second-generation star. The impact player Kurt Hennig is. What a choice this is.
It wasn't my intention ever to try to replicate, despite what everybody thinks. My goal was to bring Kurt in, utilize what I think is still to this day probably one of the best interviews that the business has ever seen.
For the last 10 years, there's been all kinds of wrestlers trying to act like Kurt Hennig, trying to walk like Kurt Hennig, trying to wrestle like Kurt Hennig. Well, I guess you could call them Kurt Hennig wannabes.
I put Kurt in matches with people who had the ability technically to keep up with Kurt Hennig.
Everybody has been waiting to see Kurt Hennig do his thing.
He was clearly still a very good performer.
Nobody beats Curt Hennig.
When you look at all of the really classic characters that have walked through the doors of WCW or WWE, Curt Hennig's name has to be at the top of the list in terms of an overall performance.
You got something special. I've seen you in this ring. Your skills, your maturity, your commitment to excellence makes you something special. Curt was a free agent at the time, basically. No alliances, but had teamed with Rick for a couple of weeks, so I saw an opportunity to put him on a spot. I'm going to tell you what your prize is. It's not a spot with the Horsemen. Not a spot, not a spot. I'll give you my spot.
You know, I know every wrestler that's ever been around or involved in this business we call wrestling who would pass up the honor to not only be a horseman, but to come out and take Arn Anderson's spot as the enforcer of the Four Horsemen. I have only one thing to say. It would be a privilege.
It was for a positive goal and a positive ending. It just didn't turn out that way.
We did this match. We reenacted the thing that we did with Kerry Von Erich with Michael Hayes, where we slammed Kerry's head into the cage. We did it in Winston-Salem with me.
This is a horrible scene. This is a horrible scene. I'm sorry.
All right, boys. Either you surrender, or old Nature Boy here gets a guillotine.
What? Get the... Oh, God! Oh, my God! Oh, God. Oh.
Came back to Charlotte, took me to the hospital and everything. Curt walked out of the building with my robe, right? Huge.
And Curt took the Bucks. Curt walked over to the NWO.
Let's bring out the guest of honor, the newest member of the NWO. Bring him on in.
I formed a wolf pack, and our insignia for the wolf pack was this, all of my friends. Well, Curt did this to Razor Ramon, and since then we had lost the wolf pack because they used to do this all the time with Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon and all of that, and Curt took that back. I should have patented it so I could at least get some royalties off of it. I take full credit for it. He stole it.
It was a natural to bring Curt in from a technical wrestling point of view or technical performance point of view. He fit nicely into the NWO.
Probably one of the most gifted athletes in the world.
Because he could have great matches with guys like Arn Anderson or Ric Flair, who were, consummate, technical wrestlers and performers.
Curt Hennig has won the United States Heavyweight Championship.
He was a U.S. champion there, so, I mean, he did fairly well there.
There was a time in WCW during the NWO era that it was very hard for the spotlight to shine on anyone.
The hottest thing in wrestling right now is Curt Hennig and the West Texas Outlaws, and there's no doubt in anybody's mind.
If it was the West Texas Cowboys or whatever the group happened to be, he would be the one that would have to kind of lift up the rest of the group.
From the Rap is Crap deal that he did with the Curt Hennig and the West Texas Rednecks was probably one of the best things that I've ever seen.
Here they come together, feeling that their type of music is better than rap. Rap is crap. Rap is crap.
If his body was healthy and he was sound physically, there's no doubt that he could have been as good, if not better, than anybody there as far as when the ring is concerned. And with so many bodies, it's just hard to get noticed. He always stood out because he could do little things and draw attention to himself. He could steal a scene in a heartbeat just because he was so good.
He seemed to do all right, and he liked it there. I never really heard him complain until later on in his career there.
So I don't think at that stage of the game that he was so motivated to be the guy anymore. He was having fun, which is very important to him, making good money. So I think he kind of liked the role of not being the guy, and he had less pressure on himself.
It was funny, I was in that Royal Rumble in 2002 that Curt Hennig returned in, and it was amazing because he came back with a vengeance and a mission.
Perfect is back in perfect condition and prepared to win the Royal Rumble.
And can you imagine that? Come back, win the Royal Rumble, go straight to WrestleMania.
Man, that is a storybook situation.
He came back and whipped ass, and basically everyone was like, oh, there's Curt Hennig, and then after a while, it was like, holy smokes, he's awesome.
I'm impressed by Mr. Perfect, who's in great shape.
Mr. Perfect hadn't been on pay-per-view in forever, but he's back tonight.
Curt came back probably with the intention of the office to be back for one night, but he was coming back to get a job, and he did.
Mr. Perfect was one of the final 3 survivors in the Royal Rumble. His returning engagement has to be considered extremely successful.
I was really excited when Curt came back to the WWE because, from a selfish reason, it gave me the chance to get into the ring with him one-on-one. I got to wrestle him in a one-on-one singles match in Boston, sold-out crowd, and I'll never forget it. It was really fun to be able to let him know how much respect I had for him.
I was happy that he got to come back because it kind of brought things back full circle.
They started with the vignettes again. I remember he was playing chess.
Checkmate.
Well, wait a minute, that's impossible. That piece wasn't there.
You lost. You're a loser. I won. I'm perfect. I'm Mr. Perfect.
We were all hoping that he was physically going to be able to really get back in there and achieve the greatness that he once had when he was healthy.
Oh, no!
Oh, my God.
Don't tell me!
The perfect plex.
He got him!
Perfect did it! The perfect plex! I don't believe it!
Oh, nobody does it better than Mr. Perfect.
I think it meant a lot to be involved in it. You know, he wanted to be involved still and help out the company because he knew a lot of, you know, different things, how to, you know, work with the people that he's been working with for 10 years. So it kind of all blended really good.
I think it was a different deal for him. They had a lot of new faces coming in, but he made the best of it.
I think he understood that that was his role when he came back, you know, is to try and help some of the young guys, whether it's in the locker room with words of advice or whether it's in the ring and showing them and putting that advice into action.
He could see the light at the end of the tunnel. My run is almost over.
He liked to wrestle and everything, but there was other competition that were younger, and he was ready to move on, you know, with another type of helping out in another part of the business.
The phone rang, and it was a cell phone, my nephew's cell phone, and he put the phone down, he turned white, and he said, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" And he said, "Curt's dead." I said, "What?" He said, "Curt died in Florida this morning."
I dropped down to my knees. I never would have ever guessed that anything would have, our life would have been cut short like that. Ever. We were supposed to be grandparents together and grow old together, like any loving couple should.
I'd have to say, February 10th, 2003 was the worst day of my life. I lost somebody that meant the world to me. He wasn't only my dad, he was like a brother. He was my hero, but most of all, he was my best friend. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of him. I have dreams about him all the time, like he's still here. Sometimes I just sit there and, you know, cry. I wish he was still here.
I almost fell on the ground. I remember like it was yesterday, my wife had called on the cell phone. I was at my son's baseball practice, and she says, I got some bad news. And she said Kurt died. And I didn't know if it was an automobile accident or plane crash or what have you. And then I found out the circumstances that he was here in Tampa. And till this day it haunts me that he didn't call me. And I feel a lot of it's my fault, that had he called me, I could have possibly done something to help him out. And I deal with that every day. It's very difficult. That I feel a portion of it's my fault.
It just caught me off guard. It's one of those things. I never, ever, one day in my life, felt sorry for Curt Hennig. I just never saw Kurt as having anything wrong. I thought he was on top of the world.
Kurt was about having fun. Kurt was about getting the most out of life, you know, and living life and enjoying absolutely every second. When I found out Kurt died, I was, I don't know, I was shocked. Kurt totally caught me off guard, and you know, and it is a crying shame.
It was just that sudden. We couldn't believe he was gone. And so that's the way it is. It's gone.
And there's been many tears. It's been 5 years, and our kids are so strong. And I didn't know I could be this strong. I don't know how I got this far. You know, I think the strength I get from him and just the memories really get me strong. I am so fortunate that I had that type of love and that connection with somebody for that long. He was the greatest person that anybody could have ever known.
When I heard about him getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, that was great. You know, I immediately got chills up and down. You know, I was happy for him. If anyone deserves it, he did.
It was like the call that I got from the Baseball Hall of Fame. I got the call from Jerry Briscoe that Mr. McMahon wanted me to induct Kurt and introduce his family. Gosh, that was a great honor.
It's my pleasure to introduce to you my friend and the newest member of the World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame, Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig.
It was a special event. A lot of tears, and you know, I just wished he was there so I could shake his hand in person.
We're so proud, and I wish he would have been here for that, because he would have just had so much fun. He would have had some fun laughs, and he would have had a lot of fun. I feel very fortunate to have been blessed with such a supportive, loving, compassionate husband. Nobody does it better. Nobody. And he was what he says he was, and that was absolutely perfect.
Kurt deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. I think he's the best performer ever to not be the world champion. Had things been a little bit different, he would have been a great champion. And the fact that he never was, I think, was a shame because he was definitely worthy of that. So to see him in the Hall of Fame was much deserved. And I think a fitting tribute to him as a performer that he made it in there as he should have.
I think it was phenomenal. And it came at a good time. His name was still very much out there. Kurt had cross-demographic appeal. Anybody that met Kurt liked him and respected him.
He busted his butt for all those years, sacrificing his time away from home, his body, for, I think it was 25 years. And now his name and his efforts are out there for the whole world to see.
Every book has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an ending. We had a great beginning and we had a great middle. And by losing Kurt wasn't really a great ending. But what helped that ending was that Kurt was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And his family loves him. His wife loves him, his kids love him. So that's about the best ending that we could get.
He made his mark, and he left a huge impression in an industry that needs showmen. They need the person that people want to go to an arena and want to be entertained by. Not only was he a showman, but he was an entertainer. And he was a damn good entertainer.
Curt Hennig embodied getting the most out of life and living life to its fullest. And Curt Hennig was always about fun. Anytime he was in a locker room, there was a smile on everybody's face, and that's something that will be sorely missed.
He should be remembered as one of the all-time greats in this business. Everybody would check their egos at the door when they came to a building where Kurt was at, because you couldn't outwork him, you couldn't outshine him, and you couldn't outperform him. So he was the best of the best here in the WWE.
The fans, they're going to remember Kurt as a super talented young guy that career ended way too soon. They're probably going to get a chance to revisit Kurt through Joe.
Being a third-generation wrestler, I'm very proud of being, the next generation of Hennig in this business, but I think I'm doing it mostly because I fell in love with the sport of professional wrestling.
I think Joe and his family should feel fortunate, to have a father like Curt Hennig, because he passed on so many things to him.
I'll just remember my father the most as being just that, as my dad, and nothing more, and how he was the perfect dad that any son could ever ask for.
There's one man that stands tall and stands ahead of everyone else. That's Mr. Perfect.
When they look back and they see actually what all he had done and how he done it, he was absolutely perfect.